Hello.
Hey there.
Stacey and Greg again. We just saw Dear Evan Hansen. It's a musical, so don't be surprised by that if you come. I heard it won the Tony actually a couple years ago, FYI. Anyways, yeah, you want to give the rundown?
Yeah. So basically, the main character, Evan Hansen, kind of an introvert in school. Nobody really knows him. And he runs into another individual who pretty much the same situation by the name of Connor. And so they have a few little run-ins throughout the movie, but never really developed a relationship or friendship, if you will. Connor happens to sign Evan's cast. He had broken his arm, and Connor had taken a note that Evan had written per his doctor for mental health reasons, and
he'd written to himself.
Yeah, he'd written to himself.
Dear Evan Hansen.
Yeah, and so Connor did come upon it, took it, and then unfortunately Connor took his own life and had that note with him. And then from there, it kind of escalated into this big story how Evan and Connor were good friends. Evan being very shy, very demure, fell into it, and it started to spiral into this big story of how they were great friends, turned into, this huge behemoth of a lie. But it was like kind of the end justifying the means, because it was producing so many positive feelings, about Connor, about Connor's family towards Connor, all the student body within the school, starting to kind of come together, and basically saying, hey, nobody's alone, we all have our problems, we all deal with something, and you're not alone in that respect.
And I think it's, first off, there's a lot of talk about mental health. So it's a great opportunity to have some conversations about, there's a ton in there, right? Do you feel alone? How do you handle problems? Have you ever been caught in a lie? What do you do to get out of it? How do you handle confrontation and your problems and things like that? So there's all kinds of just opportunity for discussion about character. And the main character shows so much integrity and character. He gets into trouble, but it's how he gets himself out that is really well done. So there's a ton of great opportunity in all of those things are really powerful conversations.
Yeah, he redeemed himself, and I was very amazed by the resiliency. He could have, when everything was kind of uncovered, the house of cards fell, and they discovered it was all a lie. He could have gone into the shadows and just avoid, dug his head in the sand, but he decided to, go back.
Hang on.
Sorry.
Just because I hate totally spoiling everything, and right?
Well, I know. No.
I'm like, we'll save some of the ending for a little bit of a surprise. But he did really work.
He redeemed himself.
To redeem himself. And I think, so what I see in this is there's a lot about how do we deal with grief. And you've got different responses. And even in the lie itself, as they're talking about how this thing spiraled, he is telling the family, I think the line was, you want to believe it's true, so you make it true. And everybody was doing that. He suddenly has this family that he never had with them, and he liked being a part of it, so he didn't want to, he's kind of imagining that, and he imagined having a friend in Connor. So he made up this whole story about their friendship. Well, he liked the thought of having a friend. And they liked the thought of getting their son back, who they had not known, who had not been a nice person to any of them. And so all of a sudden there's this, you get to remember them kinder, and that's really healthy and life-giving, but it also wasn't honest. And so how do you do that? How do you remember people and see the good in them, but also be honest about things? And that can be a really tricky thing, but I think they were really trying to do that in the movie. And then what happens is you start to realize, this, Connor's sister's I don't even know who my brother was. The parents are we don't know who our son was. People in school, they all realized none of us knew who he was. So all of a sudden, I think it really stirs this longing to actually know people. And we were just talking how much being in group settings can make you appreciate things you didn't know about somebody or bring things out. And this movie, I think, really challenges us to remember that people have stories and they have pain and they're worth getting to know, and to take the time to dig deep with people. So I thought that was, really, really interesting and redemptive. Do you have other thoughts? I have one more I'll share in a minute. But.
No, you really, what I spoke of earlier, what you talked about, really that kind of sums up everything that, my takeaways from the movie.
So I would say the one thing that just really jumped off the page to me is just looking at kind of this, sorry, my hand is getting tired, looking at this mental health thing and let me say, looking at like inner heart healing that a lot of churches are really big on right now. There's all kinds of different modalities, right? There's like sozo and different things, but really the idea is that you go back to a memory that was maybe painful in your childhood. And then this is one of the things that people do, right? It's not the only one, but then you go back to that memory and you relive it, but you ask the Holy Spirit to show you, like, where was the Lord in this place of pain? Yeah. And so this thing happened to me, but Lord, how do you see it? Like, and how do, to bring healing back into it. And so really in this movie, that's what he's doing. He goes back to his own memory, a time when he himself was hurting and felt all alone. And then he imagines this friend with him, and it brings healing to his memory of trauma and this really dark time in his own life. For the parents, they're suddenly going back and remembering, he's giving them memories again of this son that they had, but with gentleness and kindness, and suddenly there's healing because they're remembering good things about him. The problem, of course, is that it falls short when a lot of this is a lie. But when you do this in a spiritual sense and you ask the Lord to show you your pain from his perspective, your painful moments with him involved, all of a sudden, again, you have that sense that I wasn't alone in this pain. There was healing. You get this memory of the Lord, and you see of your own childhood, but with kinder eyes. So it's not based on a lie, it's based on truth. And when you can do that in a spiritual sense, and there are people who are really great at helping people do this, but when you do that, there's a lot of healing that can come in because those memories are reshaped with the love of the Lord. And again, it's based in truth in that point and not based on a lie. So I know a lot of people have gotten really great healing doing these kinds of things, and the movie shows you what a great method that can be. But again, it fell short because it was based on a lie. So if you could do that in a way that was based in truth, you can see how much more healthy that would be. So I just thought that was a really cool kind of thing to think about your own memories and how to kind of redeem those. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, guys. Make Jesus famous.